You'd think peace would calm people. It doesn't. It exposes them. In 30 seconds, I'll show you why your calm gets called control and how to stop paying the drama tax. Because when your energy stays steady in a world addicted to chaos, the ones still living on turbulence start to shake. Your calm doesn't comfort them. It confronts them. They don't know how to exist without noise. So your silence feels like accusation. Your stillness feels like control. Your boundaries feel like rejection. They say, "You've changed." But what they really mean is, "I can't control you anymore." And that's where the drama begins. They'll start a fight just to feel the spark again. They'll twist your quiet into punishment, your distance into arrogance, your peace into provocation. Because chaos only knows one language, reaction. But when you stop reacting, you stop speaking their language. And to people who need conflict to feel alive, your calm becomes a threat. If you've ever been called cold just because you refuse to argue, if you've ever been guilted for staying calm while everyone else spiraled, if you've ever wondered why peace feels like betrayal, you're not the problem. You're just the first one to stop performing panic. And the moment you do, you'll notice something strange. Chaos starts calling your peace the drama. That's how you know you've outgrown their storm. Peaceful people don't start drama. They trigger it. Because peace, real peace, doesn't soothe the unhealed. It exposes everything they've been running from. You've seen it happen? You walk into a room, grounded, unbothered, and suddenly, someone starts picking at you. Not because you did anything wrong, but because your calm feels like confrontation to a nervous system that only understands chaos. They mistake your composure for distance, your boundaries for judgment, your stillness for superiority. They call you emotionally unavailable, when in truth, you've just stopped performing pain as proof of love. The irony? The more peaceful you become, the more dramatic they act, because your peace interrupts their pattern. They can't feed on your reaction anymore, and without your reaction, their chaos has nowhere to land. So they start testing, poking, provoking, trying to get a rise out of you, because your serenity is starving their addiction to conflict. They don't realize it consciously, but their body does. Their nervous system has been calibrated to drama. It needs the spike of adrenaline to feel alive. And your calm? It feels like withdrawal. That's the paradox. You bring peace into the room, and it destabilizes everyone still addicted to their own noise. If you've ever watched people twist your calm into coldness, if your silence somehow always starts the argument, if you've ever been blamed for drama you never created, it's because your energy no longer matches their survival pattern. And when a peaceful person stops playing the chaos game, chaos calls that betrayal. But that's not betrayal. That's evolution. You're not distant. You're just finally centered in a world that profits from imbalance. And the more centered you get, the louder the world becomes trying to pull you back. You know this feeling. You stay calm while someone spirals, and somehow you become the villain. You say, "Let's talk later," and they hear, "You don't care." You're in the kitchen. They raise their voice. You lower yours. The quieter you get, the louder they feel, until your breath itself gets tried as evidence. Your peace makes them panic because they've confused regulation with rejection. You've spent your whole life proving your softness, just to make your stillness less threatening. You over-explain, you cushion your words, You downplay your strength. You say, "I didn't mean it like that," when all you meant was truth. And still, it's too much, because your calm highlights everything in them that isn't. They think you're withholding, but really, you're just done bleeding every time someone cuts themselves on your boundaries. You've learned that silence keeps the peace, but at the cost of your authenticity. You shrink your tone, lower your presence, just to keep others from mistaking peace for pride. But here's what's really happening. They're not reacting to you. They're reacting to the contrast, to the vibration of someone who no longer participates in their storm, to the mirror of stability that reflects their chaos too clearly. They don't want calm. They want control, disguised as connection. They want you emotional, explainable, predictable, because a calm person can't be controlled, and that terrifies them. If you've ever walked away from conflict feeling guilty for staying composed, if you've ever been told you're too quiet, too distant, or too calm to care, if you've ever had someone try to drag emotion out of you just to feel alive, you're not crazy. You're just evolving out of their coping mechanism. They need reaction to confirm relevance. You need peace to remember who you are. That's why you'll never win by explaining yourself louder. Your calm will always sound like defiance to someone who equates drama with intimacy. And the moment you realize that is the moment you stop trying to prove your peace is pure, because it already is. Here's what's really happening. Regulated people trigger dysregulated systems. Your calm body becomes a mirror showing them their storm. To a nervous system addicted to adrenaline, serenity feels like rejection. They mistake neutrality for threat because their safety once lived in chaos. When they were children, quiet meant danger. The silence before the yelling, the calm before the explosion. So now, when they meet your stillness, their body remembers that silence means something's wrong. They don't see peace. They see the moment before pain. And that's why your calm feels unbearable to them. Their brain floods with cortisol. Their body begs for a fight, not because they want to hurt you, but because conflict feels familiar. Their system craves chaos the way an addict craves a fix. Drama becomes dopamine. Tension becomes proof they still matter. To a system wired for spikes, steadiness reads as loss. Your calm looks like the end of supply. If this content is making sense to you, click the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support. So when you refuse to engage, when you don't take the bait, they panic. They'll throw hooks disguised as questions, emotional traps disguised as honesty, accusations meant to shake the foundation of your stillness. Why are you so quiet? Do you even care? Say something, anything. They're not asking for clarity. They're asking for regulation, the only kind they know how to access, through conflict. And that's the tragic loop of emotional addiction. The nervous system doesn't care whether the energy is love or rage. It just wants intensity. So when your energy is calm, it feels like starvation. They'll do whatever it takes to pull you back into resonance with their chaos, to recreate the charge that makes them feel alive. It's not hatred, it's dependency. They're not fighting you. They're fighting the silence, because silence means they have to feel themselves again, and that's the scariest thing of all. If you've ever found yourself thinking, "I swear I didn't do anything," but somehow it's always my fault, that's the mechanism. You're not the cause of the storm. You're just the only one in the room who stopped feeding it. And when you stop feeding someone's chaos, they'll call it cruelty, because peace feels like punishment to the unhealed. But stay grounded. You're not abandoning them. You're showing them another rhythm exists. And sometimes the greatest act of love is refusing to match someone's panic with your presence. When they accuse you of being distant, they're really confessing their dependence on disturbance. When they call you too calm, what they're saying is, I can't regulate without your reaction. Peace strips away illusion, and illusion always fights for its life. That's why calm people attract storms, because chaos senses extinction. Urgent emails after hours get praised. The teammate who sleeps still delivers, then logs off at 6. Not hungry enough. When your energy no longer feeds dysfunction, dysfunction starts to starve, and starving systems lash out. They need somewhere to project the noise they can't quiet inside. And you, steady, grounded, unreactive, become the perfect screen. Suddenly you're the cold one, the difficult one, the unfeeling one. But look closer. Those accusations are just fear in disguise. They're not describing you. They're describing the withdrawal symptoms of their own chaos. When peace enters the room, it disrupts every hidden contract built on emotional turbulence. They depended on your empathy to absorb their storms. They depended on your explanations to soothe their anxiety. They depended on your guilt to confirm their control. And when you stop doing that, they panic, because without your reaction, they have to face their reflection. That's projection in its purest form. They transfer their discomfort to you, so they can keep pretending the chaos isn't theirs. They call your silence manipulation, because their mind can't process stillness without threat. And the more self-possessed you become, the more they'll invent stories to make sense of your peace. Because to them, your calm must mean something is wrong. But here's the truth. Nothing's wrong. It's just different. Their nervous system is tuned to a frequency you no longer play. If you've ever been told you're hard to read, if your calm presence seems to provoke emotional people, if every attempt at groundedness turns into someone else's accusation, you're not the problem. You're just vibrating on a bandwidth that chaos can't comprehend. The calm ones aren't the conflict makers. They're just the first ones to stop performing pain. And that's what triggers projection, because your peace unmasks everything false around it. You've become a mirror that reflects the parts of others they refuse to meet. And when the unhealed see themselves too clearly, they'll do anything to break the glass. Society rewards performers of emotion, not regulators of it. Loudness reads as passion, composure reads as apathy. So when you stay centered, you threaten the social economy of drama. You refuse to buy in. But make no mistake, the world is addicted to its own adrenaline. Your stillness is withdrawal in human form. In a culture that equates intensity with meaning, calm feels suspicious. We've built entire industries on emotional escalation, politics, entertainment, even spirituality. Noise gets attention, outrage gets engagement, panic sells, and peace? Peace doesn't trend. The calm person doesn't create revenue. They don't argue. They don't cling. They don't feed the algorithms that depend on human volatility. So the world tells them they're boring, cold, detached, when in truth they're just sober in a room full of addicts. This is why your balance feels like rebellion. Because it is. In a world that monetizes nervous system dysregulation, a regulated human is a threat. You're not too calm. You're simply not marketable to chaos. The more centered you become, the less predictable you are to systems that thrive on reaction. They'll call you disengaged, unbothered, arrogant, because your peace can't be manipulated into productivity. But understand this. Most people aren't defending morality. They're defending momentum, the addictive rhythm of conflict that keeps society spinning in circles. It's why news cycles never end. Why social media thrives on outrage. Why even relationships repeat the same emotional storms. Collective chaos keeps everyone too exhausted to evolve. And the calm ones, the ones who pause, reflect, regulate, interrupt that entire rhythm. You can see it everywhere once you notice. In workplaces that value urgency over accuracy, in families that call boundaries disrespect, in friend groups that mistake gossip for bonding. Stillness is not just misunderstood, it's destabilizing. Because peace exposes what's performative. It removes the background noise that keeps dysfunction invisible. It shows us who's truly connected and who's addicted to noise. If you've ever been told you're too quiet, too detached, or not emotional enough, understand, that's not an insult. It's a confession. It means your calm is working. It means your silence has interrupted the pattern. You're not cold, you're clear. And clarity will always look like distance to people who can't yet stand still. So let them misread you. Let them talk. You're not here to compete in the chaos economy. You're here to withdraw your energy from it. Because when peace stops performing, the system starts to crumble. Peace isn't passivity, it's precision. It's the discipline of choosing response over reaction, awareness over impulse, truth over noise. Anyone can scream. Few can stay. Your calm doesn't make you weak. It makes you the mirror no one wants to look into. Because calm doesn't just neutralize chaos, it reveals it. It shows who's grounded and who's dependent on disorder to feel alive. The goal was never to avoid confrontation. It was to stop being consumed by it. You don't need to match someone's volume to prove your power. You don't need to argue to validate your truth. You don't need to defend your silence. Silence is defense. It's the language of people who've outgrown emotional warfare. When you stop reacting, you remove their control panel. You stop being the regulator of their storm and become the keeper of your own climate. That's when the dynamic flips. Your calm stops feeling like withdrawal and starts functioning like gravity. It pulls everything unstable into clarity. The chaos either settles or spins itself out. Peace, at this level, isn't fragile. It's weapon-grade awareness. It's what happens when you realize energy is currency and you're done making donations to dysfunction. You don't need everyone to understand you. You just need to understand your own nervous system. Once you do, no manipulation can reach you, because nothing hooks a calm body that no longer bargains with fear. And here's the secret: most people never learn. True calm is active. It listens sharply, observes patterns, waits for truth to reveal itself. It's strategy disguised as stillness. So when they call you distant, remember, distance is how a boundary breathes. When they call you cold, remember, clarity doesn't run a fever. When they call you too calm. Understand, they're just unfamiliar with peace that doesn't need permission. You're not avoiding life. You're finally living it without leaking energy into every argument that asks for attention. You used to think you had to prove your empathy by absorbing pain. Now you understand. The highest form of empathy is regulation, refusing to make the world calmer by making yourself chaotic. That's not avoidance. That's mastery. And mastery always looks mysterious to those still confusing motion with progress. If this resonates, you've already started the reframe. You've stopped mistaking tension for connection and adrenaline for aliveness. You've begun realizing that peace isn't what happens when nothing's wrong. It's what happens when nothing outside you controls what's right. You don't owe the world your reaction. You owe yourself your regulation. You'll feel guilty for being calm at first. Your body will crave the chaos it grew up normalizing. The silence will sound like danger. The absence of adrenaline will feel like loss. But stay. Breathe through the silence you once filled with explanation. Peace is a practice, not a pose. Each time you hold it, you retrain centuries of nervous systems that equated love with drama and safety with noise. You're not cold, you're consistent. Your stillness isn't absence, it's integration. It's every version of you, the anxious one, the apologetic one, the over-explaining one, finally sitting at the same table in silence, learning to coexist without war. At first, you'll overcorrect. You'll want to prove that your calm isn't cruelty. You'll explain boundaries like confessions. You'll defend your peace like a crime. But eventually you'll stop, because real peace doesn't need proof. It just needs practice. It's in the breath you take before you answer. It's in the moment you choose not to defend what truth will reveal on its own. It's in the decision to stop rehearsing your emotions for other people's comfort. You'll learn that silence isn't punishment, it's power. That walking away doesn't end connection, it ends confusion. You'll discover that love feels different when it's no longer built on rescue. That compassion expands when it's not laced with self-betrayal. That being calm in chaos doesn't make you detached. It makes you anchored. Every moment you resist the urge to perform peace and instead be peace, you're rewiring your lineage. You're teaching your nervous system that safety isn't earned, it's allowed. You're showing your inner child that calm doesn't mean danger is coming next. That silence isn't the build-up before the storm, it is the clearing after it. And every time your body trembles for the old chaos, the familiar crisis, the emotional noise, the urgency, you remind it softly. We're safe now. We don't need the fire to feel alive. That's how peace becomes embodied. Not through control, but through trust. Not through silence imposed by fear, but through stillness chosen by awareness. You'll start to notice things. How your breath deepens mid-argument. How your body stays steady when someone projects. You won't need to defend your peace anymore because it will start defending you. That's the turning point. When peace stops being something you maintain and starts being something that maintains you. If this resonates, know this. Your calm is not a phase. It's evolution. You're not becoming less emotional. You're becoming more intentional. And every time you choose presence over performance, you send a signal forward to every generation after you that love doesn't have to come wrapped in chaos. Because when you stay calm in a world addicted to noise, you're not avoiding life. You're upgrading it. Carl Jung called it individuation, the courage to belong to yourself, even when others call it distance. Nietzsche saw serenity as strength, the will to stand unshaken in a culture built on noise. And the Tao reminds us, the soft overcomes the hard. True power doesn't raise its voice, it radiates. The still water reflects everything without distortion. It doesn't argue with the storm, it simply waits for the sky to remember itself. This is the paradox of peace. It feels passive, but it's the highest form of control. It's not submission, it's sovereignty, because only the self that no longer reacts can see reality as it is. Only the quiet mind can perceive truth without fear's interference. To be calm in a chaotic world is to live beyond the collective trance. It's to remember that power doesn't come from domination, but from direction. Stillness is not stagnation. It's the moment before creation. It's the pause between destruction and renewal, the silence from which all transformation begins. Philosophers have always known this. Lao Tzu called it Wu Wei, effortless action. Kierkegaard called it authentic faith, the ability to act without panic when everything is uncertain. Jung called it integration, when light and shadow finally stop competing for control. Peace is not neutrality. It's the reclamation of your own pace in a world that profits from your urgency. And once you understand that, you stop chasing calm and start embodying it. You stop fighting for control and start flowing with clarity. Because calm is not the opposite of power. It's the highest expression of it. When you no longer need chaos to feel alive, you've entered a realm most people never reach, where reaction dies and awareness begins. And that's the ultimate paradox of awakening. It doesn't make you louder. It makes you so still that nothing external can move you without your consent. You become a living mirror, reflecting truth, absorbing nothing, unmoved but never uncaring, soft but unbreakable. That's not avoidance. That's enlightenment. If peace has ever made you feel lonely, remember, solitude is simply what freedom sounds like before it finds harmony. Your stillness isn't isolation, it's alignment. You've stepped outside the frequency of noise and into the rhythm of truth. Let them call your peace unnatural. Let them call your quiet arrogance. Because what they're really saying is, I can't reach you anymore. And that's the point. You were never meant to stay trapped in other people's weather. You are the calm after generations of storms. When someone says, you've changed, smile. Say, I stopped confusing chaos with connection. Then walk away, softly, sovereignly, free. Because peace isn't weakness, it's evolution. It's what happens when the war inside you finally stops asking for witnesses. The world may never understand that kind of power. It's too quiet, too steady, too self-sourced. But you'll feel it, in the way your breath no longer rushes, in the way your voice no longer trembles, in the way your body no longer flinches at love. That's not detachment. That's arrival. You've returned to yourself. And here's the secret no one tells you. Peace isn't the absence of noise. It's proof you're no longer ruled by it. You used to think calm meant safety. Now you understand? Calm is strength. It's the unshakable rhythm of someone who no longer negotiates their worth through other people's storms. So let them project. Let them misunderstand. Let them call your serenity strange. Because evolution always looks unnatural to those still addicted to urgency. You are not abandoning them. You're embodying the possibility they never had the tools to reach. You are the living evidence that peace can survive the noise and outshine it. If you're ready to stop absorbing drama, to stop carrying chaos that isn't yours, write it below. I choose peace. Not as withdrawal, but as arrival. Not as distance, but as dignity. Because when you choose peace, you're not escaping the world. You're recalibrating it. And every time you hold that peace when the world tries to take it, you remind the universe. Silence was never weakness. It was the beginning of wisdom. So breathe, stand still, and let the noise collapse on its own. You are no longer a participant in the storm. You are its ending.